Good morning and welcome to Ringer Sports Studio. Today is Friday, November the 1st. Happy post Halloween. Hopefully, everybody had a great Halloween evening last night and had lots of trick or treaters out there. I'm Ringer Senior and I'm here broadcasting at Ringer's Sports Studio, father son duo broadcasting professional sports, Major League Baseball, NBA, college football, and NFL action, and soon to be college basketball when things kick off. Um, Recording here myself this morning. My son's at school today, so we won't be tuning in today. And we're away this weekend, so we won't have any video post most likely tomorrow or Sunday. We're actually at a basketball tournament for both of my kids this weekend, so excited to kick off the year with some basketball for our children. Tuned in yesterday. We're kind of up and down this week. Started off extremely well. Finished 2-5 yesterday, I believe, or 2-6. Wasn't the greatest of days. We had a 4% play on Tulane over their team total of 34.5. I actually changed that to a 5% play on Twitter because I was really expecting them to get up and over the 40s. Tulane missed a 28-yard field goal late into the fourth quarter before they scored their final touchdown to stick it at 34. So we're half point off that massive payout. So we're actually sitting at 27-12 now for our 5% plays, or 69%, which is absolutely amazing. Almost had that 28th win last night with Tulane going over. It was a slow game. Every drive was 7, 8, 9 minutes for Tulane. They scored on 6 out of their 7 drives, I believe, 4 touchdowns and 2 field goals. And of course, they had an opportunity to kick a field goal to get us up and over that total. An easy chip shot, and the field goal kicker missed the field goal. And also in the first drive of the game, it was a 10-minute drive that ended up in 3 points only. So it really was really a long, drawn-out game that was very frustrating to watch. So we didn't get that one in. We did get a couple of props in, but wasn't the greatest of nights for us. However, we're looking to bounce back. Small card tonight, and actually going to post my weekend Saturday picks and my best plays. We'll probably add a few more to Twitter. So if you get a chance to check us out at Ringer Sports Studio or at Colin Ring 12 on Twitter, you'll see some additional picks. I haven't done all my analysis yet for the weekend for college football. However, going into tonight's matchup, we've got Boise State at home to San Diego State. I'm looking at the team totals here and the overall total. It's a big number, 23.5. Boise State coming off that really tight game against UNLV last week. We had a 5% play on the over total points, and it was a turnover slash field goal type of game. Was expecting a lot more scoring from both sides in that game, thinking that would get up and into the 80s, but it never did fare out. But Boise State's offense is still very strong. I can't see San Diego State slowing them down. They're averaging 43 points per game this season. The over/under total sitting at 40.5. I'm actually going to be looking at Boise State here up and over the team total of 40.5. I do believe they're going to get at least 45 points against the San Diego State team. That's not the greatest. And I do think Boise's a little bit susceptible to giving up a few points here to San Diego State. So I'm also looking at the overall total at 56. So if we can get San Diego State to 17, and we can get Boise up and over 40.5, then we'll be up and over that 56 total. So I like that as a 3% play over 56.5, and Boise State over 40.5 as a 4% play for tonight's action. I'll most likely be adding in a few NBA props and possibly NBA sides tonight, like I said, but you'll see those on Twitter later on once I have a chance to do a little bit of research. Now, heading into the weekend, again, looking at some team totals here, a couple overall totals as well, and a couple of spread picks as well as that we're looking at. So, first game of the docket, we're looking at Army. Army sitting at home to Air Force. Army's absolutely been doing amazing. Three-headed monster running game. 7-0 in the season, playing Air Force, which is who are 1-6. Now, typically these games are super tight and super low scoring because of the running game, which I still anticipate to happen. But I do have a 5% play here. I've actually got two 5% plays on both the military teams this coming weekend on Saturday, and I'm looking at the overall team total for Army sitting at 30 and a half. The number's a little bit juiced, but I'm looking at Army's over 30 and a half. They've been over 40 points in 4 of their last 5 games. Uh, like I said, Air Force has been giving up a ton of points as well. They're only 1-6 on the season. I see this score being somewhere in the low 40s. I can't see Air Force scoring more than 10 points, but I've got Army scoring close to 40 points in this game, so I think they're going to get upwards around 38. So I've actually got two. I've got a 5% play on over 30 and a half, and I also have a 3% play on over 31 and a half. So it's interesting how the line moves so much between just that 1 point. But I do believe that Army's going to be able to score at least 35 points here. See this as a 35 type 6 game. The over-under sitting at 41, 40 and a half to 41. And I do anticipate it being somewhere in that vicinity. So I'm not touching the overall over-under total here. I'm just um, looking at Army's overall team total up and over that 30 and a half and 31 and a half. 30 and a half, 5% play, 31 and a half, 3% play. Again, if you haven't checked us out, we're 27 and 12 on our 5% plays for 69%. It's an amazing record for any handicappers out there that follow or sports bettors that look at percentage of winning. So hopefully we're looking to get that 28th win. Also looking at Army first half here, 13 and a half. I think Army's the spread for the game is 22 and a half. I know that's a big number, especially in the military type games. I do think Army's going to cover that number. But I do believe they're going to be up early here, and then they're going to be able to milk the clock late, and there could be backdoor cover, or they could just slow the game down completely just to get in and get out for the game. So I'm not taking the overall spread here. I'm looking at the first half Army minus 13.5. Again, 7-0, quite the division they're in. Army, Navy, Tulane, they're all kind of fighting in that division for a playoff position. But I do think Army's going to get in and get out of this one pretty quick. I can't see Air Force making much of a statement. However, traditionally, the underdog has covered the spread in most of these games, but I don't anticipate that happening today. So give me Army minus 13 and a half in the first half. That's going to be a 4% play. All right, shifting gears to the next game, which is Navy. Sticking with the Navy. They're heading to Rice. Um, Similar situation here. Rice is 2-6 on the season. Navy sitting at 6-1 on the year. I'm looking at their team total as well, sitting at 30 and a half. I like this as a 5% play as well. So I've done the exact same thing. I've juiced up. I've juiced up the team totals or brought it down to 30 and a half, and I'm also looking at over 31 and a half as well in this specific game as well. So, they're averaging, they've been over 34 points in 4 of their last 5, and we're just looking them to get up and over 30 and a half. Rice is sitting 2-6 on the season. Not a good team. They haven't given up a ton of points. Somewhere in the mid to low 20s per game is what their average is. But I do see Navy, holding strong, 6-1 team, looking to stay pace in that division for a playoff spot. It should be very interesting when Navy plays Army head to head. But I actually like this game up and over. Team total of 30 and a half as a 5% play, and up and over 31 and a half. Navy's team total points as a 3% play. And I'm also looking at Navy to cover the 11 points as well. I do think they're going to blow out Rice. I think it's going to be a 21 plus point victory. I'm only marking this as a 3% play as well, but I do believe that Navy has an opportunity here to blow them out as well. So you can see that you'll see that pick posted as well. All right, moving gears, looking at the Michigan State game against Indiana. Very interesting matchup. Indiana undefeated, continuously shocking teams. We actually had Washington to cover last week, and Indiana beat them with ease. To be quite honest, which wasn't expected. A lot of handicappers were looking at the Washington side here and looking for Indy to digress, but the college football teams are very competitive, and Michigan State's had a very, very tough matchups this season. They're sitting at 4-4 in the year, but they played OSU, they played Oregon, they played Michigan, they played Iowa. They've played some very, very tough teams. Indiana hasn't had the strength of schedule that Michigan State has, but Indiana has been really performing. But they're on the road. They're heading to Michigan State. Spartans are really competitive in college football. We're getting 7 in the hook, +7 here. If it was sitting at 7, I'd reconsider. But I think, I think Michigan State can keep this within a touchdown. And I think Indiana, it's time for them to digress just a little bit. I think they've been pressure's going to be on to stay competitive and push for that playoff spot. They've been surprising and shocking teams. They're number 11th ranked team. I'm not sure if their power rankings are true to that number, just looking at their specific record as to why they're ranked that high. But I do believe Michigan State's going to be able to manage ball possession. Contain their defense is going to be able to contain Indiana. I do think this will be a slower pace type of game, even though Indiana, we cashed on it over 30 and a half team total points last week. I do think Michigan State's going to be able to slow the game down quite a bit. I think Indiana's going to pressure. I think Indiana still may win this game, but don't be surprised if the upset happens. I'm not going to sprinkle any on the money line, but I do think Michigan State has a really good chance to possibly upset. But give me Michigan State +7.5 on the side, the home underdog, Michigan State at home to Indiana as a 3% play. All right, other couple quick matchups that I'm looking at specifically, which I've made plays on, is the Texas Tech Iowa State game, sitting at 56 as the total. Texas Tech is a high-powered offense. Iowa State is a strong defense and has done extremely well on the defensive side. But I don't think 56 is enough points. Iowa State should be able to score against this, not so good defense on the Texas Tech side. Texas Tech loves to move the ball very fast. I think they're going to be able to put up some points against Iowa State. Iowa State should be able to get this win and most likely cover. Although I think Texas Tech will keep this game close early. Iowa State pulls away at the end. I think Iowa State's going to score when they want to, and Texas Tech will be able to put up some points. I do think this one might get into the 60s. That's why I like over 56. I think Iowa State's probably going to score somewhere in the 32 to 33 or 4 type of range, and I do believe that Texas Tech's going to be able to get up and over 24 points against this Iowa State team. So give me up and over 56 as a 3% play. So those are our current plays. I'm also looking at a few other picks, which I'll share with you. I haven't made them public. If I do, you will see them on Twitter. But those are the approved picks that we've actually selected that are already locked and loaded that we wanted to share on our video. So again, 5% plays. We've got Navy up and over 30.5 team total points. We've got Army up and over. We've got Army up and over 30.5 team total points as 5% plays as well. We got both Navy and Army over 33.5 and 31.5 as 3% plays. We've got Boise State over 40.5 as a 4% play on their team total, as well as the game over 57.5 as a 3% play. And then we've got Navy covering the spread on the side -11, Michigan State +7, and Texas Tech, Iowa State over 56, all as 3% plays. Other things I'm looking at, as I mentioned, is TCU game with Baylor over 64.5. Two teams that are high-powered offenses as well. Again, haven't officially signed off if I'm going to make that pick. I think the Georgia-Florida game is going to be surprising as well. I think there's going to be some points scored here, believe it or not, even with Georgia's tough defense. I like them over 51. On the contrary, I like the Kentucky and the Tennessee game to go under 45.5. This strong Kentucky defense, I think, should be able to contain Tennessee. I don't see Kentucky scoring too many points themselves. It'd be interesting to see if Tennessee can get up and cover off that big spread that they have at home against Kentucky, because Kentucky typically comes to play. So I like Kentucky and Tennessee under 45.5. And I believe there's a stat that Kentucky's 5-0 against the spread against huge contenders or ranked teams when the over/under is 47 or less, or 48 or less. So I anticipate this being a lower scoring game. I also like a possible couple of upsets here, or at least road underdogs against top 25 teams. I like Arkansas plus the points. I like Penn State plus 3 against Ohio State. Should be a very interesting matchup. I like the Clemson game up and over the total of total points in that one specifically. I also like South Carolina at home. I think they've come to play as well when they play against top 25 teams. Wouldn't be surprised if there was an upset on the South Carolina game as well. So, and then what else am I looking at that I see here? I already talked about we talked about Michigan State. I'm just looking at my notes. I think UConn tonight's playing. They're 8.5 point favorites against Georgia State. It should be a double-digit win for UConn State, but again, haven't made that an official play. So, a bunch of leans that I have are things that I've shared. Again, if you check us out at Twitter at Pollering12, you will be able to see any additional picks added to our card. Again, posting early today because we'll be away on the weekend. So please like, subscribe, share our YouTube channel. We like to get a thumbs up. We'd like to see the views that are being watched on our YouTube channel. Typically, bring our juniors on here with me. And if we get a chance to post anything, maybe Sunday night for Sunday night football game when we get back, definitely we'll be posting on Monday another video. So have an awesome weekend. Good luck. Hopefully you have an awesome November for your sports betting. Like them and catch them.